Look, ladies and gentlemen, it's a lot of issues facing this country right now. Obviously the coronavirus several months ago. We're not out of the woodworks on that yet, so to speak, for lack of a better term. We have protests in every state throughout the country. We had a Metro police officer that was shot. Thank God it looks like he is going to make it. As far as a full recovery, I don't know how that happens when you get shot in the head. It's a horrible situation. We have rioters. We have when you have hundreds of thousands of people across the country that are protesting, there's going to be some bad actors. There's no question about it. There's no question. But there's systemic racism that needs to be addressed in this country by everyone involved, and that includes white people. Okay, that's a fact. That's a matter of fact. We're also talking about the President of the United States, and he needs to be held to accountability. Now, if you support the President, that's fine. You like some of his policies, that's fine. But you cannot defend the fact that he used an opportunity for a photo op in front of a church and held the Bible for 10 seconds while people were being roughed up, including journalists and reporters clearing the area. There's no defense of that. Just come out and say it. And I don't want to hear, well, it's not the way I would have done it, but I support the President. No, you need more than that. We had Brian Suits on, radio host in L.A., who was once in the National Guard. He's a conservative. And he said, yes, it was wrong. The logistics of it were horrible. It looked terrible. You need to be able to call that out when you see it. I think that is very important. And for those of you out there that want to blame Antifa, and I don't support anybody in a hate group like Antifa. I don't support any violence. But the FBI just came out with a report that says Antifa has not been a part of these protests. In fact, there is evidence to support the fact that there have been white supremacists that have been a part of these protests. That is according to an FBI report. We're taking your phone calls now. 702-257-5396. Again, that number, if you want to be a part of the program, now's the time to do it. 257-5396. Let's start off with Ira. Ira, you're first up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I've been trying to get on with you the last couple of days, like I was talking to the guy that asked you. So you both guys go back and forth, say, give me 45 seconds. So give me 45 seconds to say something, and then if you guys want to talk about it, fine. So first thing, those 4 officers who've been arrested that day or the next day, if you and me did that, we've been arrested, and within 3 days, if they don't charge us, they release that. Okay?
Ira, I'm going to give you more than 45 seconds, but I just want to say I'm in agreement with you 150%.
All right. So now what they're saying, I'm not, you can't just block a bunch of people. But I agree. Some people in the police department are biased with all kinds of race, especially the blacks. I understand that. But now with that argument, now they're doing the same thing with the police. Because of this one officer, they're going around looking at other officers and judging them and shooting them. They already shoot how many police they've killed already. So they can't go with that argument now. You understand with that? Now.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Okay, now this other thing. Now that all of a sudden today they're going to talk to the Attorney General, right? Now for 2 years they had this on every day, all 3 channels. They talked about what Trump did and all that stuff. Now today he's going to be on there. The other 2 channels don't even show it, and all they've been showing is about what they've been doing the last 7-8 days, the riots during the day and the riots at night. But yet they won't show this.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Listen. Asked him a question. He said, if you knew then what you knew now, would you sign that visa? He said no. So that means none of this would have happened. Okay?
Well,
one more thing, and I'll be done. Okay. Now, 2 days ago, I videoed Carlson, and I was watching the other 2 stations back and forth.
Tucker Carlson, yes. The man who says the idea of white supremacy is a lie.
He showed cops hugging other ladies, African-American, giving them, making them feel better. They showed a husband and wife getting beat their crap out of trying to protect their store with 2x4s. You saw another kid getting beat the crap out of 12 to 15 people. Yes. And another guy had a flagpole away, got his crap. And those other 2 stations never showed that. So they're lying.
So hold on. Now I'm going to pull back on what you said. And by the way, I gave you more than 45 seconds. But what you said is not factually accurate. I watched CNN and Fox News. CNN did show the attacks. CNN did show that mom and papa business where the mom in that business was beat. CNN did show that. You're absolutely wrong. They showed a security guard yesterday being shot dead. You're also wrong about that. So when you make blatant statements like that, unless you're watching, but you're wrong.
They didn't show it as wrong again. Okay, I apologize.
Okay, no, that's okay. I'm just saying that I watch both, sir. I'm just being fair.
Right.
I watch Fox News and CNN. I do think it's important that we cover those stories as well, and we've talked about it. And listen, I agree with just about everything you said, sir, but just we need to be accurate. CNN and MSNBC did show it. That's all I'm saying, and I appreciate the call, sir. Thank you. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Gary. Gary, you are next up on the Vegas Take.
Why, thank you. I'm changing my name from Deplorable Gary to Interrupter Gary. You need to be interrupted. JD, if you're there, interrupt him as much as possible. And
Thank
I
you,
have
Gary.
some things that
Appreciate
I'm
that.
going to get my 15 seconds of fame, not my 15 minutes of fame. I want public radio shows where people get to talk and say anything they want for 2 minutes without being interrupted. Now,
All right, Gary, this floor is yours, my friend. It's Deplorable Gary. It's the Vegas take. Go, Gary. You're the host.
all right, those 4 police officers just stood there. They needed to be sent to mainland China and never be seen or heard from ever again. And Mark Levin keep calling China our enemy. He needs to go there for 6 months, and he can.
Gary, I have a question for you. Gary, I have a question
Yes,
for you. Sean,
yes.
if you can, Gary, hang on the line. Sean, if you could cue this audio, because, Gary, you really hurt my feelings a week ago. I was very, very upset at something you said on this show, and I want to give you a chance to respond to it. If you can just wait patiently, Gary, for 1 second. Sean, do we have the thank you, Gary. Sean, do we have the audio queued? Gary called into
Brian,
the show
listen, I know you're a bubble-brained buffoon, sometimes maybe a bisexual liberal in sheep's clothing,
Gary, that wasn't very nice.
but I apologize for it, and you didn't play the whole tape. I just said I want to have a civil conversation with you, that your mother wears combat boots. You can't, you're a goofball, and I love you, and I defend you with my life because I'm an old
Well, that's
soldier.
nice of you.
You're,
Thank you.
I respect you, just like
Thank
I
you, Gary.
respect Doug Basham, even though I know he's like the clown that you.
Gary,
think
let me be
clown
very
comes
clear.
to-
Gary, let me be very clear. You can call this show anytime you like, my friend. I like you. I'm just having a little fun with you. That's all. Okay, Gary? Thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Gary. Good call.
Gary's fun. 702-257-5396. A bumble, what did he call me? A bumble brain buffoon?
A bumble brain, sorry, I yawned there. A bumble brain buffoon, but and at times
Brian,
a bisexual.
listen. I know
lesbian.
you're a bubble-brained buffoon.
Bisexual liberal.
Sometimes maybe a bisexual liberal in sheep's clothing.
In sheep's clothing.
I think he's on to something.
Maybe he is. I don't know. Gary, you might be right. If you have any sheep's clothing for me, it's very warm. I'll gladly wear it. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Kevin. Kevin, you're next up on the Vegas take.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I wanted to kind of talk to JD first.
Hey, what's up, Kevin? How
Something
you
that
doing,
he
man?
said kind of caught my attention. You started going on with Judge Basham on about how long can this go on, It's been going on for 5 days, as if to kind of move on.
It's been going on for 8 days.
Right.
8 days,
so, it would be nice if to you that we could just move on, but you have to understand the problem's still here. You understand it's been going on for years. I posted a picture, and I couldn't even get the whole photo in my post because there were so many dead African Americans murdered at the hands of police. I had to shrink the picture 3 times and then had to split it. Okay, the African American community is done with the playing games with the law enforcement or people that want to just keep pushing stuff under the rug. Okay, like your president said, what the hell do we have to lose, sir? Oh, you understand me? Now, police come in the African American community, you start roughing everybody up, throwing black women to the ground, or just shooting them in the head, and they're telling them I'm pregnant or something, and you just do it. Maybe we come outside, or not maybe. We are going to start coming outside and raising hell with those officers. They're not going to leave that scene without getting a little dust up on them. But you guys are not listening. You keep trying.
Well, okay, hold on a second.
First of
hold
all,
on. Hold on.
I'm not a police officer.
Okay, hold on. Let me interject. Okay, I have to interject now. This is Brian speaking. When you say you guys aren't listening, with all due respect, sir, Kevin, I've been listening for years when it comes to this issue, and I say I'm not an African American, and I don't know if you're speaking about me, but you said you guys. I've never pretended to be an African American and to go through.
He actually addressed me, Brian.
He said you guys.
I was addressing JD.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm on your side. I apologize.
I wasn't talking to you, bro.
Okay, all right, fair enough, Kevin.
Please
Brian just had
understand.
to talk a little bit. It's okay.
Please understand, JD. This was not a well-organized situation. People are pissed off. Okay, this is not Antifa, and you're getting it from your own FBI. Okay, you guys want to sit, or not you guys, the right, I feel, the people of Republican or conservatives want to just push this under the rug and spin and put a name on it. People are tired. Whites, blacks, Asians, Latinos. When you see an injustice, you cannot call yourself the party of justice or for law and order. But then I told you, I can't fit the picture in a post. There's that many African Americans dead in one picture.
JD, respond to what he's saying. Let JD respond.
Again, my question is, how long are these going to last, and what is the end game? What is trying to be accomplished here? What's the goal?
The end game is to undo these safety features that you have put on police officers. You've made them.
Okay, now, Kevin, now how is that?
Okay, listen to what I'm saying. You've made the police like God. Okay, did you know that the police department has their own constitution? They have their own constitution that protects them. The fraternal brotherhood of all police officers. While we go to work and work hard all day, the police officers and the entities that protect them work to write laws to make them even more untouchable, more unstable. We gave them body cams.
There's definitely protocols in place.
Now you have to fight and go to court to get the body cam if it shows them in a bad light.
Well, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of police officers are unionized, and that's one of the reasons why Amy Klobuchar didn't fire the police officers in Minneapolis, because there's a union affiliation there.
The law and order. The reason that it's nationwide, the reason why it's in France and Paris, France, and in Italy, the reason why everybody's standing up, because you see it everywhere. These officers aren't just white officers losing their minds. You got African Americans throwing bombs on people. Okay, it's a systemic problem with rage, hate, and an absolute them against us. But understand something: we're not going to African Americans. What the hell do we have to lose to fight back? Okay, there's 20 of us and there's 5 of you. I'm not going to sit here and watch you stomp out a black woman or twist her head up inside of a car. We're going to be on you. You understand me?
I've never seen a video like that in my life where something like that has taken place.
Kevin, I appreciate the phone call.
That being said, I will say this. There have been at least 15 or 20 police officers severely injured nationwide. There have been at least 2 African-American police officers that have died since these protests started, and both those deaths occurred, not the protest riot looting, both those deaths occurred after Derek Chauvin was charged with murder. Okay, so how is this going to help any police relationship within if you have cops that are dying? I mean, a cop died here 2 days ago. That's not going to help anything. This is not the answer to creating change nationally.
So we got to get back.
So my question is, what is the end game?
Okay, so we got to get to more calls. I understand where Kevin was coming from, and quickly.
I'm not saying I don't.
So what I will say is this: nobody, Kevin included, is not condoning violence. Kevin is not condoning. Hold on, let me finish.
He just said he was.
Can I please finish? Kevin did not condone violence. He didn't say it was okay to injure a police officer. You're totally misrepresenting and not understanding where Kevin was coming from. Let me explain. What Kevin is trying to say is that this is something that has been happening, and I don't think he'd mind me saying this. This is something that has been happening in this country for hundreds and hundreds of years. It has to stop. He is angry. There are minorities that are angry, and while it is horrible, and I don't condone any type of violence with police officers, how about the violence that at the hands of African Americans that has been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years? And keep in mind, Will Smith said it best, now we just have it on videotape. This has been going on for hundreds of years. They just want it to end, and we need to get back to the phone calls.
I'm not suggesting that that's not the case.
Okay, let's get back to the
Brian,
calls.
he did say that we are going to fight back. It was basically an indictment on all police officers.
Fighting back.
And that is just not the case.
I want to get back to the phone
calls.
The
majority, probably 99% of police officers are good police officers.
I'd like to get back to the calls, saying that you're going to fight back and then correlating.
You've had several calls to the show.
You can let me finish. Saying that you're going to fight back and then saying that he's condoning hurting or killing police officers are 2 completely different things. You're not understanding where he was coming from. I do. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Juliet. Juliet, you are next up on the Vegas tape.
Hey, what's up, Juliet?
Hi. Okay. As a police officer, there are some major things that we need to change. And I'll give you 3 of them. We need to change how we vet police officers, meaning we are too interested in getting people that are extremely fit, and a lot of people cannot pass the fitness test. However, people are physically fit, but the fitness test is just outrageous, and most women cannot pass it. Then we need to increase our intelligence and have people that are better critical thinkers become police officers. And the third thing we need to do is, rather than training police officers to be bullies, we need to train police officers to talk to people and to have a little bit of compassion. So the whole
Juliet, I agree. I'm sorry to. Are you a Metro cop, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I'm not Metro.
But you are a police officer. Okay.
Yes, I am.
How long have you been a cop for, Juliet?
24 years, and I came from the Northeast.
You came from the Northeast. You've been a police officer for 24 years. Okay, so you're the perfect person to ask this. Do you understand what that last caller was saying? I believe he was saying, listen, we don't condone attacking police officers, but we need to change and we need our voices heard. I get where he was coming from. And when somebody makes a call like that, some people will correlate it as, oh, he's condoning violence. I don't think he was. Do you understand where he was coming from?
I didn't hear everything that he said, so I can't comment. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. Well, Juliet, let me just say I agree with you, but do you agree with me that I think body cameras should be 24/7 mandatory?
Okay, I don't mind the body cameras, but I don't want them going into the bathroom with me. But I would wear one because I am not concerned about what I say. Yep. However, I don't want them going into the bathroom.
Okay, fair enough. Then put something in the law that says when you're eating lunch or when you're going to the restroom, you take the body camera off, but it has to stay on 24/7. I'm totally cool with that, Juliet. Quite frankly, I don't want to see you go to the bathroom either. You seem like a very nice lady, but I wouldn't want to see that either.
Well,
Juliet,
and I wanted to ask you, Julie, can you stay on really fast?
Yeah.
You mentioned the vetting increases. You hire more intelligent people. With that, the pay should increase too. Would you not agree?
Actually, I'm not complaining about the pay. But here's something that's happening in Nevada, is they are going to start the furloughs again. First responders should never be furloughed.
Right.
So that's the number one thing I'm fighting for right now. But
sure,
actually,
that's fair.
and I know a lot of police officers aren't going to like it, but actually I'm very pleased with the pay.
Yeah, and Juliet, by the way, thank you for calling in and thank you for your service as a police officer. We appreciate it.
And the reason I bring up the pay is if the pay is more attractive, you're going to get more people who like to be police officers.
Okay.
You're going to have a higher pool to choose from,
well, that might be
which
true.
should increase the effectiveness.
Officers actually, with
officers.
overtime, can make an incredible yearly salary.
Okay, so while that might be true, JD, I don't think we should have to pay officers more money for doing their job and doing it well. By the way, they're also, and I'm not saying, cops the first 10, 15, 20 years are making big bucks, but what I am saying is when they retire on the force, they certainly have a nice salary to go along with retirement. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Calvin. Calvin, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Calvin?
Hey, how you guys doing? My
Okay.
biggest problem with this whole thing is I think that the way the justice system worked this thing out is why we have so many problems today. Number one, when they fired those cops within the first day or so, why did they fire them? I would be filing a lawsuit if you fired me. I understand, but this is the first time cops have been fired the next day when something happens. And
can I answer that? Can you tell me if you agree or not? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think I have an answer to that. I think they were afraid of what is exactly taking place right now. They didn't want carnage to their city. They didn't want to deploy, the National Guard. They thought, and they were wrong, Calvin, but they thought, in my personal opinion, that if they fire these officers and act immediately, then we won't see as many protests and things will die down. Well, guess what, Calvin? They were wrong.
They were wrong because the way they did it, they fired these guys.
I agree.
But what they're saying is they admitted that they did something wrong, but you only charged one. So why would you fire all of them if, that's
I agree. Calvin, this has been a F up from the police department from the start. I agree with you. Here's what I think is going to happen, and you can tell me if you agree or not. I think these three officers are going to be arrested and charged today. But my question is just the same as yours. Why weren't they arrested earlier? Why would you? I tell you what they did. They convicted, or I shouldn't say they convicted. They arrested this one guy because they wanted to keep him in jail. I think those charges are going to be more serious with the FBI investigation. I think these three officers are going to be arrested probably today. But, Calvin, I agree with you 100%. This has been a screw-up from the top down.
I think they set the country up for this type of violence to happen. You're going to go ahead and arrest these guys.
I totally agree.
These guys, and then you don't do anything about it for 8 days. So now you got people stewing and saying, what's going on? Why
all right, so let's go with that. Calvin, let's go with that for a second because I think here's where we disagree. First of all, I would say to you, who are the people that wanted carnage throughout the country? Who are the people that wanted to put police in harm's way? Who are the people that wanted local businesses to be destroyed? And what do they get out of that? So who exactly are you talking about when you say that they wanted this to happen?
What I'm saying is the way the media set this up. The media is just making money off of all this. It has nothing to do with the actual justice system. Because if the justice system had stepped in and fired these guys and said, okay, we're going to bring them up on charges, even just saying that would have had people waiting to see what they were coming with. But if you fire them, that's admitting that they
you're saying it's the media that should
do anything.
All right, so let's go with that for a second, Calvin. We could have a discussion about
Brian,
this. Hold on a second. Calvin, let's go with that for a second. You're saying that the media is responsible for all the protests? Because my retort to that would be...
No. Don't get me. I'm not saying the media is responsible.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the justice system did not act. Now the media is giving all this information out day to day to day, but nothing's going on. Now people are stewing and being angry, and they're showing this on every channel.
But the media, but doesn't the media have to cover this? It's a huge story. We've never had this happen.
But Brian, they're not covering it accurately.
They have to cover it, but they're not covering anything substantial to what happened.
What are you talking about? They show, Calvin, with all due respect. Well, hold on a second.
Happened.
What have they gotten wrong? They showed the tape over and over again. They've been holding press conferences. The media has been covering those press conferences. The media has covered the riots and the looting, and they have
But
covered...
they're not calling it rioting and looting. They're calling it protesting.
Well, because the majority, hold on a second, the majority of those people are not rioting and looting.
They're calling protesters
What are you
who are rioting and looting protesters, and that's not the case.
You are 100%
yes, they are.
wrong.
CNN has done that multiple times. CNN has covered this incredibly poorly.
What I'm saying is it's pitting us all against each other. Just like you
that's very true.
The whole world is disagreeing with what's going on. And now we have other countries weighing in on our justice system.
Calvin, I appreciate your perspective. I understand your perspective, Calvin, and I appreciate your position. I just want to be factually accurate. CNN, what you just said, JD, every single time one of these things are going on, they are not just calling it riots and protests. They are also calling it protests. That is not true.
No, they're trying to make it look like there's not rioting and looting taking place.
Okay,
it took them a day and a half.
I watched hours over the weekend of windows being smashed in,
and it took them a day and a half
being stolen in L.A.
to mention David Dorn.
You have no idea
dying
what
under
you're
the
talking
circumstance
about.
because it does not fit their narrative.
Well, I've watched CNN about 6 hours every day, and I can tell you are 100% flat out wrong.
They are not representing what is.
What are you talking about?
CNN, obviously. CNN is not accurately representing what is taking place in these cities at night as far as rioting and looting.
First of all, I was a reporter for 10 years.
And I know you're going to back CNN always. That's fine.
Because we watch it.
Yeah, because I watch it and you don't. That's why. Okay, that's the reason. And let me just say this: and what you're saying is so ridiculous. Some of those reporters on CNN, one of whom was arrested live on national television, reporters have been injured because they're in the fray. They're covering. They actually have cameramen. I know you don't know this.
So does Fox News.
Well, you just said CNN, so that's what I'm talking about. If I could finish,
they're not the only network that's been.
I didn't say they were the only.
I
didn't say they were the only network. You're the one that's saying CNN's not covering the riot and the looting, and you're wrong. There are reporters that have been injured and hurt a few feet away from where the looting is, a few feet away from where the riots are. Right here in Las Vegas, members of the media were injured. For you to make that claim that CNN is only covering it as a peaceful protest is ridiculous.
Over the weekend, I watched CNN hang on an image of people stealing shoes out of a store for about an hour.
Of course. It's just not true, JD. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Jamie. Jamie, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Jamie?
Okay, let's go to Lo. Lo, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, Lo.
Hi, I'm new to your radio station, and so I don't know who is who, but I overheard one of you try to defend the gentleman about 2 callers ago who was saying that he would, fight or stand against the police because he thought if he sees a woman getting hurt or an innocent person getting hurt.
Yes.
It's called, protecting ourselves. It's called self-defense.
Right.
And it is from all of this. The world is uniting, not just for us, as I want to kind of talk from the gentleman that just spoke. It's not just for us. It's within their own systems. Blacks and people of color and minorities are receiving the same treatment there. Mm-hmm. So we're uniting here together as a world united to speak against the modern day publicized, recorded, live murder and lynching of Mr. George Floyd. We're not upraising just about Mr. George Floyd. Again, I reiterate what one of you said. It is hundreds and hundreds.
That's what I said. Yep.
And hundreds.
Lo, you're absolutely right.
Integrated racial policing within the system. It is.
Lo, we only have about a minute. Lo, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want to keep you on for another 30 seconds because we're up against a break. But why is it, Lo, and by the way, Lo, I agree with everything you just said. Why is it in 30 seconds, because we have a break here, why is it that you think that there are some Caucasians out there, some white people, that are unable to admit what you just admitted?
Because a lack of education, a sense of pride. They want to believe, especially a lot of friends that aren't, they're not racist, but they're not educated. The lack of empathy is driven within the system, saying, "Hey, you've got these opportunities. Everyone has a chance." Not so. A gentleman, a friend of mine, had posted unfortunately, previously before, a white woman had got killed by a cop. She got justice. This has been 8 days now. You watched a public lynching. This is a modern-day lynching.
Yeah.
And
we got to take a break.
And the angle, 3 men were on top of this one person. And those 3 other men, besides the one that has already been taken, those 3 other men have not all been arrested.
Lo, you're absolutely right. I agree with everything you said in this call and your sentiment, and I appreciate your thoughts on that.
Call,
I wish everybody had that same thinking as you, Lo, because I think we'd be in a better place as a country.